guys. Bit of arts and crafts today. Artsing and craftsing. Because over here baking.
I don't know how that's going to work. It just doesn't seem to be sticking.
How long was it in there for?
Over an hour. It was actually in there for nearly an hour and a half. Anyway, see how it goes.
I'm sick as again. Second time in like 3 weeks. What an absolute rort. Very uncool, very unhappy about it. All right, guys, we are back. The Patrol is back inside,
As you can obviously see.
we have flywheel bolts.
Our flywheel bolts over here that have arrived, which is wicked.
Not only that, but our high mount AC setup has also arrived. So as I stated, that's going to be awesome being able to set that up on the engine outside of the car first.
So that's it there. So we'll show you that as it goes on the car.
But basically at this stage now, it's pretty much just time to start
Getting all of this in the hole.
get it off the ground, do some tidy up, and have this thing starting to look a little bit more complete. We've also got the new passenger side guard over there as well to go on, so that it can complete this as well with no snorkel hole. So that's freaking awesome. I'm a bit puffed because we just pushed it inside. Big old heavy thing. Anyway, all good. But yeah, looking forward to starting to get
All of this stuff in the car and off the ground. And starting to see this thing come together in a bit more of a complete manner. So, gotta be sick.
Oh, it'd be so good to have this space back.
Yeah, we can fill it with another car.
Yay!
That's the fuse box all mounted up. Fuse and relay box. It's like deja vu. Dummy engine's out. All right, we've got bell housing completed, installed. We've got our brand spanking new throwout bearing that came with our clutch kit.
So that's the other thing. The clutch is going in this thing as an NPC clutch. I've just called and basically gave them the rundown, told them we're doing LS with the rod shop bell housing. They knew exactly what we're talking about and told them what we needed it rated to. And basically what I did was just get the highest possible rated clutch that they do that's still an organic plate, just a single organic plate, because once you start going to ceramic plate and button clutches and start going to twin discs and stuff, not only do you start getting very expensive, but it starts to make it less fun to drive.
What's meant to be essentially a daily driver.
Yeah, well, daily driver, not only that, but if you're doing some really slow speed forward drive stuff, you don't want a clutch that's like that, that's really hard to get the pickup point right and jerky and stuff.
It's a turbo LS. There's only one speed now.
So yeah, it's just the highest rated single plate organic clutch that they do, which from what they were saying, yeah, something ridiculous anyway, more than we're going to make with this. So that's where the clutch came from. So anyway, time to get the plate and the flywheel and clutch and everything on the engine.
So the last check I need to do, I've already measured that, is you measure from the throwout bearing to the bell housing face. And then once I get the clutch and flywheel on, we'll check that measurement from the backside of what will be that plate.
To the fingers?
To the fingers, just to make sure that you've got a few mil of clearance.
Yep.
Because otherwise you can end up in a situation if the numbers aren't right with the throw out all the way back, it can be putting pressure on the fingers, which is
Gonna burn your clutch real quick.
not going to be very nice. So
yeah.
It's normally pretty spot on, but it is something to check before we try putting the engine in the car.
Particularly, obviously this is important with everything, but when it comes to conversions particularly,
when
imperative.
This is not standard because it's obviously, this is a Patrol friction plate with an LS pressure plate. So you've got, you know, everything's a bit, so you need to check everything when it comes to this sort of thing.
Check again. Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
So about the last little check we're going to do before the engine goes in is Rex is just going to chuck the slave cylinder on the bell housing because it's obviously a new bell housing. It's a new location for the slave. And just make sure that at full travel on the piston, on the slave, on the rod, on the clutch fork, that it can go all the way out without the clutch fork actually hitting the back of the cutout in the bell housing. Because obviously if it's going back and it's hitting the back of the cutout, well then it means we're going to have to probably shim that ball forward. But if it can get the full length of the stroke on the slave,
well then there's not really much much else you should need to do from inside the box.
Provided obviously that by then the air gap between the
Throw out and the fork is right. So that should be all good. But we figure may as well check that now while it's out of the car, rather than figure out it's a problem once it's in the car, because yeah, you don't want to be doing that.
Woohoo! Yeehaw.
So basically 75 mil from the plate to the fingers.
Yep.
Whereas at the moment, with the slave on there, all the way back, that measurement was 98.
Oh yeah, that's getting pretty wild.
Hang on, I'll check it again. Hopefully I can confuse that with 88. It might be okay.
Measure twice, cut once.
They're saying, you know, add 2 M10 washers
To the ball.
and potentially a spring. If I remember right, I think there's already a couple of washers there, because otherwise, yeah, it starts to get pretty hairy when you're trying to push it out there.
Yep.
So
Yep,
see what we can do.
Oh, bloody hell. So after all that, it might be
Delayed going in.
for even a bit longer.
Oh, nah.
So Rex has chucked extra spacer on the pivot ball. It's probably out where it is about the maximum we would want to space it with the thread engagement still on the pivot ball. So this is basically a test of this would be the most we'd feel comfortable spacing that pivot ball out. So we'll see how this goes. It's not that big of a deal, considering all of the load on the pivot ball should always be back towards the thread. It should never be pulling on it. But still, for obvious reasons, you still want to have some thread there.
All right, so look at, even with that space, it's not going to work, because by the time you've got the throw out coming out enough to engage the clutch, it's coming off the guide on the box. So it obviously means that it's pushing it out too far to engage the clutch. So I jumped online and had a look at the rod shop, like the kit online, and it definitely looks like they come with like a spacer. It looks like it's meant to be pressed onto the stock carrier, and then the throw out's meant to be pressed onto that, which would make sense because it's spacing that bearing forward off the carrier.
Which is that little piece in the middle there. So obviously we didn't buy the whole kit, but we bought the bell housing and the plate, and it came with the little pilot and everything. So I'd have to assume if it came with the pilot, it must have come with that spacer. So we're just having a look around trying to see if we can find it. Hopefully we can find it and it's here somewhere. Otherwise we're just going to have to give them a bell and order one, which could be a problem, because that's going to be another big, well, not a big weight, but enough of a weight to really piss us off. But yeah, that would make sense, because that's bringing the bearing forward from the carrier, which means that even with the clutch fork not pushing the carrier all the way forward, you're getting a lot more engagement on the bearing, but it's not coming off the guide, which is obviously exactly what we need. So that is the problem. All right, guys, it's annoying because it is pictured in the kit with like the plate and all the hardware and the pilot and stuff, which we got, but I just gave them a call, and yeah, they generally only chuck it in with the clutch, which obviously we didn't order because we got the higher rated one straight from MPC. So unfortunately that means we don't have it here. We have to assume we don't have it here. Even if we do have it here, we can't find it. So I've ordered one from them, but here we go once again. Another part that is now gonna hold us up at this point for another few days. So that's, yeah, there you go. There's a pretty good example, guys, of this thing should have been so much further along right now. We've had 2 huge delays because of 2 very small, simple parts that were missed. And that's, yeah, big problems. So anyway, what do you do? Can we do what we can do? It's on the way. That's the best we can do for now. So anyway, for now we'll start looking at the high mount kit. That is something that we can actually look at. So this is what's included. Some really nice bracketry here. It's not a cheap kit. Like this kit from Alex was not cheap, even remotely cheap. It was very expensive, but you know, again, it's still a lot cheaper than the time it would take us to develop a kit. Not that we charge that to the customer anyway, but just saying that when it comes down to money and time, it's definitely still a lot cheaper in the long run. So start looking at how it goes on the car. That's the pump that it comes with. It's actually not generic fittings, it's like a manifold fitting, so we'll have a look at that when we get it out of there, but it's a fairly small, compact little pump. But yeah, so we're looking at it. It comes with a new...
I don't think we have to take the water pump off.
We have to take it off. It comes with a new tensioner as well, whole new tensioner setup. I mean, after that, this thing's pretty much just going to have to go on a pallet on the ground and...
Nope.
No.
It's going in there.
It's going in there?
Yep.
But then how are you going to do the rest of it?
I'll do whatever else I have to do. There's some shit I need to finish.
Yep.
And then it can come back out when we get the spacer, and then it'll go into the final time. But it's going in there. There's stuff I need to do.
Right.
I can't wait. So
All right.
it's annoying to have to put it in and then take it out again, but
Can't you do what you have to do with the dummy again, or you need that in there?
it's a fucking waste of time. I've got to half assemble that. If I put it in the hole anyway, I might as well just put that in there.
Yeah, okay, what is it, wiring stuff and things like that?
Well, the first thing I've got to put the manifold on that side. I need the water pump on, and I need to do the thermostat housing to work out that
to
heat
do
shield
the
for that
bottom.
side, so I
Yeah.
can finish up the crossover and have it ready to go.
Yep.
Then what else was there? I can make all of the power steering lines need to be made. The clutch line has to be made.
Yep. Fair enough.
Feed lines, all this stuff can all get.
All right, okay, I'll get it, all right.
You bloody questioned me about it, right? So
Yeah, well, you look pretty dodgy, all right?
the motives are beyond your understanding.
All right, red hot, look at that. How nice. Really nice kit.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a very nice kit. I don't reckon we could have made a better one if we even did our own. So, fingers crossed. Like I said, I had a few people comment that these actually have more pistons than the full-size pumps. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed it all.
But mighty.
Yeah, but as you can see, as far as nice and high and close as possible to the crank center line, this was the only thing on the market that was going to work. Everything else sits them right down off the side, down too far. So anyway, we went all through that. But hey, look at that.
It's probably not going to work.
It's not going to work anyway. We don't have the high mount alternator.
No.
How's it going to work without a high mount alternator? It's not going to bloody work.
I don't know what we were thinking.
What would you know?
What were we thinking?
The crazy thing is, for a Gen 3, they actually sell a high mount alternator kit on its own. Anyway.
How does that work without the high mount AC?
Yeah, anyway.
Pulleys.
Crazy. But anyway, so the next thing, or next challenge, I suppose, is finding the correct fittings for the manifold side so that we can start looking at getting our lines made. But actually, I don't mind the fact that it completely replaces the stock tensioner with this one as well, considering the issues that a lot of people do have with the standard tensioner. So I reckon it's going to be pretty beefy and perfectly suited for what we want to do.
We got a part number there, so we should be able to find out exactly what that is.
What that is. Ah, I like it.
Alright.
Big AC on this side, big spoolie turbo on this side.
Spotty boy. Spotty boy.
No, I like it.
It won't
It's a
be
shame.
it'll be
Alright. Let's get it in for no reason.
put it in the hub. Not for no reason. Go sit down. Go sit at your fucking computer or something.
So just looking at how this actually all sits and see how far forward the back of the pump is. It's not like I had anticipated with the Marks kit where the back of the pump was going to be really far back, which is why I actually swapped the covers around to start with. But this should pretty much almost work with the filler point over in its regular position, which would make servicing this thing way easier than having that over there underneath the heater line. So
This is very, very close.
it's
to
a
the
really
firewall.
crappy spot. So we're going to switch these back around to the standard locations just for a test fit to see if we can actually put the dog leg back on this and have it back in the stock location, just because it's going to make it so much easier to work with. So we'll give it a test fit. All it means that these AN fittings will now be a bit further forward than Rex had originally anticipated, but that's all right.
They have a 90-degree fitting that goes up to the 45s anyway, so it just it doesn't matter.
Cool, man. Great success. So it basically touches the pump. So it is a bit annoying to have to undo and do it, but considering you've only got to do it literally when you service the thing, and for how much easier it's going to make it to actually
I reckon that's
get oil into it.
That's less annoying than having to do it here.
Yeah, underneath the heater
lines.
lines. So Rex is going to have to take this one back off and lop this off.
Yep.
Because he needed the clearance here. On the other one, you can see where he chopped it, but it's going to work, which is awesome. So another big tick for this kit. I gotta say, really liking it. I enjoy it. It's nice. I like it. It's good.
Don't take any more than that.
Righto guys, so a little bit of an issue with the actual bow housing
Fouling on the ring gear.
so just had to make a little bit of clearance there for that. Hopefully this time around it can go in and we'll still be able to turn the motor over. So still contacting the bell housing there. So yeah.
Do some more clearancing. I wonder if we should just take the bell housing off the box and just Make sure it clears on the engine before we put it back in.
I thought about it, but I'd rather not.
Yeah, okay. Oh, we'll see how it goes anyway. Do some more clearancing again. Try and get it to clear properly. Alright, so that is clearanced once again. Trying to take as little as we possibly can out of it. So we are actually a little bit worried. Just on the backside of where that's clearanced is on the bell housing. It's right on the backside of, I suppose you call it the actual sandwich plate, which actually clamps to the back of the block. And there's like a little pocket there that's clearance for a washer where a bolt has to go in right behind it. So at that point, it's getting very, very thin. So at the moment, Rex is doing basically just a quick thickness check just to try and get a bit of an idea of exactly how thin it is getting. But yeah, we'd really like to not take any more out of it. Anyway, there's not much we can do about it at the end of the day anyway. At the end of the day, the engine, the flywheel, everything's got to fit in there. So it is what it is. So that was enough. We've got enough clearance that the motor turns over now. So that's awesome. And just looking, we haven't got the mounts in yet. We're just eyeballing our Highman AC. We are perfect. Oh mate that sent me those photos was bang on. But yeah, that's it's all looking awesome. All looking good. Yeah. Alright. One non-dummy engine, dummy fitted for now.
Yeah, that's step 9 in the process.
Step 9.
You
Anyway.
dummy fit the dummy engine.
I'm still so stoked that we actually got that fella over there. It just makes it so much better.
It really, yeah, I'm really happy about it too.
So yeah, overall that kit, as much as it is expensive, stoked with it. Really happy.
It's worth it for the convenience and the space saved.
Anyway, yeah, nice. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, nice. So with that, obviously our alt and then power steer, and we can get a belt length as well and try and get that sorted. But yeah, that's real nice. I like it. It's good. It's good. It's good. I like it. So fingers crossed, this little extension that we need will show up early next week. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's another long weekend. So
yeah, it's another long weekend, so hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday, we get it again. So yes, another delay, which we really didn't need. But anyway, hey, you get that.
The wiring, pretty much by then, everything will be virtually plug and play. I'll have all this wiring will be done.
Yep.
It'll be done.
All right, all the accessories as they will be fit, except for a idler there that we're missing. But that'll be the belt route. Yeehaw, ye bloody ha. So anyway, that's the manifolds in with the heat shields. Nothing you haven't seen before, but they've just been painted now and baked. We're pretty interested to see how the ceramic paint goes. It was sort of weird. You know, we've never done this sort of process before where we actually put the ceramic paint on and then bake it properly in the oven. And it was still like powdering off a little bit as they were coming out of the oven, but we're not sure if that's just the process. We're not sure if like the ceramic actually cooks and then I don't know. We're not sure. But basically once we get this thing running, we're going to be pretty careful to do a couple of heat cycles on these manifolds. Try and make sure that ceramic sort of really does bake into them. With that ceramic, you know, a lot of people talk about like proper ceramic coating about heat protection. For this thing, between all our heat shields and this thing being the 3mm wall, steam pipe manifolds and everything else, we've really sort of covered all our bases as far as heat management goes already. Ceramic coating is really nothing to do with heat in this instance. It's really just about sealing these manifolds and making sure they're protected against corrosion. So that's the process there. Anyway, you can see that Rex is getting this ready to pretty much put our swivel-headed thermostat housing, which I think is around here somewhere, but we bought a swivel-headed thermostat housing. As always, this thing will be getting one of our 71-degree thermostats. See a lot of people do LS conversions on four-wheel drives. They're designed from factory to run very hot. The fans in a Commodore don't even come on until it hits about 110 degrees. So these things they're meant to run hot. It's where they're sort of efficient, and it's, yeah, where they do everything they need to for emissions and everything else. But in a four-wheel drive, I see a lot of people chuck them in and wonder why they have heating problems, can't keep them cool. A lot of it's to do with the fact that they leave the standard thermostat in, which is I think they're about 86 degrees. So we always chuck like a 71-degree thermostat in them. After that, as long as you've got the fan set right in HP tuners to come at correct time,
we very rarely have any issues with actual operating heat in this thing. So
that with our swivel head thermostat, Rex can start looking at getting that bottom rad hose completed around our crossover pipe, and then he's looking at making a heat shield on the crossover to protect that bottom radiator hose as well. So I think I went through that before, but anyway, I'm heading off today. Gonna go do some driving around, got some other stuff to go run around and do. As you can see, we're getting pretty flat out in here again, so trying to get a few things to where they gotta be to try and get some room back in this joint once again. But anyway, basically I'm not gonna be here for Rex finalizing that, finishing off some wiring, so I think we'll call this another episode. Once again, guys, a really good example of how a few small little things that get missed, parts that aren't right or wrong, can just put you so far behind. But anyway, at least we actually got the engine in here and actually managed to find those clearancing issues with the bell housing, and we know that's all sorted now for when it does finally go in. So yeah, there's a few ups to it, a few silver linings, but overall just a good indication or example of how out here trying to get parts and stuff at the moment, especially with all these short weeks, having a few missed parts can just delay things so much. So anyway, it is what it is. Still stoked with how it's coming together. Thanks for watching as always, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out, see you, bye.